Hey, happy Monday, and welcome to this episode of Faith, Purpose, Profit, what I like to call FPP Live, a time I connect with you every Monday, 7 p.m. EST, for those of you that come here live. And I talk to you about the three things that you've got to connect when you want to live as a highest and best version of who God created you to be. And that's your faith, plus perfect, plus purpose, plus profit. Beyond excited to pour into you. So, do me a favor as you come in, trying to tag you guys and show you that I was live. Say hello. Tell me where you are in the world, if I can spell as I'm talking. I don't know what makes me think I can talk and chew gum. Okay, that did it work? No, it didn't. So as you're coming in, tell me hello. Tell me name and where you are in the world. If as I'm sharing, if any of what I'm sharing resonates with you, I want to know that too. I don't know why my tagging today is not working, but anyway, I'm gonna hit send and see if it works. Anyway, all right. So let me focus and pour into you. So if you've been here every week, you know that this is the final part of a series I started almost 5 weeks ago. The series is the Brilliance School Takeover, and the Brilliance School is something I started back in COVID in 2020. And so I'm not able to teach you everything I taught then, but I thought, let me at least give you some tangible takeaways for those of you that really know now is your time. Well, let me just say this. If you want to start a business and one of your big goals for 2024 is to start your business, you're on a runway for 2024 now. Because in just almost 3 weeks, we'll be in the last quarter of this year. Can you believe that? This year went by so fast. And so if you want to have a revenue generating business, now's your time to start one. All right. So with that said, I'm going to do a quick review of part 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you've missed any of those parts, go and watch those episodes on my YouTube channel. You see it there, nrjnetwork.com. So week 1, we talked about dominating in your lane, and I really dug into your niche. The Bible verse that was the foundation for that week was 1 Peter 4:10, and it says, as each one has received a gift, minister to one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Now, I want you to really get this. Steward means one appointed to supervise the provision and distribution of. And again, God has appointed you the supervisor of your gifts and talents. There's no coincidence that you are here on this earth at this time in history, that you were here during COVID, that you live where you live, that you have a natural propensity for some things, and go on and on. But all those things means that there's a lane that God has created you to dominate in. I call that your brilliance zone, right? Then we moved into week 2 and we talked about the must to make your business stand out. That must is allowing people to see you and experience the authentic you. And that lies in the power of your story, right? So the Bible verse for that week was 2 Corinthians 3:3. This is the Message version, by the way. Does it sound like we're patting ourselves on the back, insisting on our credentials, asserting our authority? Well, we're not. Neither do we need letters of endorsement either to you or from you. You yourselves are all the endorsement we need. Your very lives are a letter that anyone can read by just looking at you. Christ himself wrote it, not with ink, but with God's living spirit, not chiseled into stone, but carved into human lives, and we publish it. What's interesting is, have you realized that we are like the modern day Bible stories? Where I see somebody's giving me a thumbs up. Hey, Janice. And by the way, if you guys see me looking to the side, that means I'm looking at my comments. So I said, I wonder if you guys realize that we are like the modern day Bible stories, right? We are the modern day Bible stories, meaning that the Bible is just a group of stories of people that lived at that time. And we are like those stories now, only if you allow people to truly experience you. So I went in on that on week 2. I'm not going to go any further than that. Week 3, it's the blueprint that builds revenue. We're going to talk about the other side of revenue today, y'all. So I started a conversation there. And this Bible verse I'm going to read is my mandate given to me by God. Genesis 1:28. Then God blessed them and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion. I'll talk more about that in a second. And then last week, we talked about why finding your flow activates business success. I wonder if you even realize that you have a flow. Talks about you being like a faucet. Oh, I went all the way in on that, right? So I'm trying to remember. I have, it's so funny, you guys, I write so many notes and some of them I say and some of them I never ever read. So Jeremiah 1:5 is one of the Bible verses I gave you last week, which is before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you. See, God sanctified you for specific work. He ordained you, just like I just read for you, steward, one appointed to supervise the provision of. So I need you to understand that when you get clear on that thing, that is where you should flow from. Like any great rapper. Matter of fact, I read a quote from Jay-Z last week. If you want to hear that quote, go watch that episode. So I'm going to jump into today's topic, which is why the Bible says multiple revenue streams are a must. And I don't even know why the Bible says that. I'm going to give you three examples from the Bible. Why? Listen, when God first dropped in my spirit Genesis 1:28 years ago, and he gave me that as my mandate, again, that's be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, have dominion. That was the directive God gave to the first man, which is Adam, which is a directive to all of us. When I started to study multiply, do you know multiply is the most repeated word in the Bible? It's in it over 40 times. So God is all about you multiplying. So again, I'm going to give you three examples. And yes, they're going to talk to you about your revenue, and I got some good stuff for you. So the first example is from Ecclesiastes 11:2. That says, invest in seven ventures, yes, in eight. Now it says seven, and then it says yes, in eight. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. You know, have you ever heard the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket? It's interesting when I get to coach women and you start businesses, and those of you that have heard my story, you know, this was my problem too, and you only have one revenue stream. And you wonder why your business isn't taking off. And you wonder why you feel stuck. Or those of you that are successful and you haven't started your business, the fear of you being able to make the same amount you're getting paid now. And listen, you have a lifestyle to maintain. You cannot have one stream of revenue to get there. What most billionaires don't tell you is they have seven streams of revenue, y'all. And this Bible verse says, invest in seven ventures. Yes, and eight. But the second part, which I think is so interesting, you do not know what disasters may come upon the land. Now, you also, what I believe this Bible verse is also telling us is you cannot operate out of fear. I think many people don't start their businesses because they're afraid that they're going to fail instead of creating a strategy they need to produce multiple revenue streams. I go all the way, right? So instead of being afraid of what could be, why don't I think the fear should be on making God less than proud of you because you didn't steward the gift he gave you well, which is another conversation around multiplying. I'll tell you about that in a second. Now, let me just skip to that. Second, and if you've been in my tribe, I always use this as an example, the parable of the talents, which is Matthew 25:14 through 30. Now, mind you, there's a couple of stories that are very similar to this. There's Jesus that took the five loaves or the fish and the loaf and multiplied that. I mean, there's so many examples of multiplication, but I want you to really get this, okay? And I'm going to read this quickly, and I might read around it. Well, let me just give you the summary. Again, this is Matthew 25:14 through 30, just so I don't read 15 Bible verses right now. So pretty much a gentleman, a boss, because it says servant. I don't like that word servant. So we're going to say employee, but there are some versions that say employee. Has three employees. A boss has three employees, and he says, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm going to give each of you guys some money to keep for me. The first employee takes the money, invests it, and makes back three times what his boss gave him. The second employee invested the money and made two times. The third employee dug a hole in the ground, put the money in the ground, and left it there. And here's what happens. And what this is verse 20, I think it's. So you ought to have deposit. Okay, so this is 26. Okay, verse starting at 26. But his Lord answered and said to him, this is talking to the servant that did nothing with what he was given. You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming, I would have received back my own interest. So take the talent from him, talking about the money, and give it to him who has 10 talents. In other words, take the money from the third one that did nothing and give it to the guy that multiplied it by three. For to everyone who has more, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. See, what this story is telling you is that God is looking for how you will multiply what He has given you. So at birth, you were given a gift. I talked about this in Finding Your Fall. I also talked about this in Dominating in Your Lane. When you were born to this world, you were given a gift. That gift inside you is not for you, it's for every person that needs you. What God is doing is looking to see how you will multiply what He has given to you. The way you do that is but by number one, really understanding how to take your gift. Well, first of all, understanding what your gift is, who it's for. All the conversations I've had to you up until this week, by the way. But when you create multiple revenue streams, it's not just about you making money. Of course, you'll make money. But when I have multiple ways I can serve clients, do you know that means I can serve more people? So that is really what I believe this parable of the talents is saying. What will you do with what God has given? Will you just sit on it, dig a hole in the ground like that third employee and do nothing, which is what happens if you're afraid and you don't grow your gift, or you sit in a career that's good enough, or you settle for yesterday's success when God has so much more for you? Matter of fact, if you're in my community, that means that there's some stirring up inside of you of your gift. When there's stirring up inside of you, that means that God has more for you to do. When you don't take the time to get clear on it and multiply it, you're wasting your gift. Matter of fact, you're being selfish because you're making it about you and it's not about you. Another great example of multiplication that the Bible talks about is a Proverbs 31 woman. I've been a woman myself, they call the Proverbs 31 woman the perfect woman. If you go read about her, you'll see that she's manufacturing, she's wholesaling, she's importing, exporting, she's a real estate guru, she has multiple employees, she's an investor. Yeah, she got multiple ways she's making money. But what she's also doing is diversifying how revenue is generated so she can take care of her family. Hello, somebody. Also, when you are diversifying how you're serving people, you stop wearing yourself out so much because you have more than one way that people are being served by you. And when you have employees, that means all of it's not being done by you. Hello. So the more money you make, the more people you can hire, the more you can put your gift out in the world. But I see so many people that never start businesses because they're afraid that they won't make revenue. They're afraid that they won't be able to maintain it. And you won't if you have one stream and you do not have any employees. And the more you sit on one thing and you never grow it, the less you'll have the ability to grow and multiply. Listen, God is always looking. He asks one question: how will you do more and serve more people with what I gave you? Same question he asked in Parable of the Talents. How will you do more and serve more? So I really want you to think about this. I really want you to think about this. I'm going to pull up a slide in a second because I want to walk you through an assessment to see where you are. I want you to be clear on where you are and your ability to multiply. I call him bankrolling your brilliance. But I really want you to be clear on where you are. And those of you that know you need support, I need you to push past fear, push past any excuse that you could ever make, and listen, get the support you need. I'm clearly not everybody's coach. But if you've been watching me and you know I'm meant to be your coach, then listen, this is my invitation to you to stop sitting on the sidelines and sitting in mediocre, to stop digging that hole in the ground and sitting on your talent, to do the work you need to grow it. Okay. So when I'm talking to you about profit, the word profit, if you look it up in the dictionary, means a valuable return, a gain. Okay. So ultimately, in everything I'm teaching you, even as we're having this conversation where the Bible talks about multiplying, the question is, how will you gain for God? Because when you do the thing that you do, so if I go back to the Proverbs 31 woman who is manufacturing, the things she's manufacturing are blessing the people that buy it. Right? When she's importing and exporting, guess what? The thing she's importing or exporting, let's say importing, she's selling. Hello, that's blessing the people that buy it because they need it, but it's also blessing her family. Do you guys get that valuable return, a gain? Do you get that? The thing I think so many people don't realize is that God created you the way He created you, and He put you here to be the answer. There are a group of people that need you, and every business that's formed is formed as an answer to a problem. Okay. So even at your 9 to 5 was created as a solution to something, a want, a desire, a need. And your role helps to actually make that thing real in this world. So when we do the thing that God created us to do, we're bringing the kingdom here on earth. So again, how will you gain for God? So I want you to get clear on where you are. Okay. So those of you that are here with me, grab a pen. Those of you that watch a replay, I want you to listen. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I want you to answer these honestly. It's either yes or no. If you're like, I'm not sure, that would be a no. Okay. But I want to walk you through a bankroll your brain's assessment. And I want to do this because I think so many people think they're further along than they are. I think many of you don't realize what you don't even know that you need if you're going to have a multiple revenue stream generating business, which, by the way, all of these questions are things that you need. All right. You ready? Got a pen? Number one, I currently write a blog or newsletter once a week based on one step from my signature system or blueprint. I talked about this. I'm going to tell you guys which week I talked about this. I talked about this actually in The Power of Your Story, week 2, the must to make your business stand out. And I talked about this. It's a blueprint that builds revenue in your business. Let me put my titles over here so I see them. Okay. It's either yes or no. Number 2, I'm clear who my ideal client is, and I'm generating at least $1,000 per month on programs that do not include me being live or present. And by the way, if you don't even know how to do these things, just write no. And it's okay if you haven't started your business yet. Now you're seeing some of the things that you must do. Okay. Number 3, I have a signature talk that I've expanded to a 3-hour intensive, a half day, and a full day workshop. Yes or no? And by the way, if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask them. Let me pull this up. Number 4, I have a CRM. By the way, if you don't know what a CRM is, go ahead and write no. And I have a fulfillment sequence that nurtures the client to their first sale automatically once a prospective client enrolls in my opt-in. Yes or no? Number 5, I currently have a free opt-in that builds my list. Number 6, I currently record a YouTube video or are on Facebook Live weekly, like me, based on my signature talk or blueprint from our virtual subscribers. That's actually what I'm doing right now. Number 7, I have a circular sequencing selling system that allows the client to buy more than one way from me. So think upsells, downsells, and cross sells. This is multiple revenue streams at play, by the way. Number 7 is. All right. Number 8, I host webinars and conference calls every week. And the conference calls can be with your clients. That's fine. Okay. I'm not talking about your girlfriends, and I know this is about business. Number 9, I have a system in place that turns content into products immediately after I introduce them to the marketplace. Think live keynote becomes a repurposed virtual training. Okay. And then last but not least, I have an active social media presence that speaks from what I know and not what I do. I need you guys to get the difference. What you know is allowing people to see and experience you. You start telling people we're going to do this and we're going to do that. It's like when you go to the doctor and the doctor starts to say all these big medical terms and you have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know about you, but I'm like, can you say that in English, in layman's terms, please? Yeah. That's when you're talking about what you do. But what you're going to do is show people who you be. So that's when you're showing people what you know. Show, not tell. Big difference. All right. So what I want you to do now is I want you to add up your yeses. How many yeses do you have? How many yeses do you have? And be honest with yourself. You need to go back and hear me walk through these questions. Please do. But this will really tell you. And if, listen, even if you have not started a business yet and you don't know what some of these things are, this is giving you a good indication that you need support because you don't know how to even do some of the 10 questions I walked you through. Okay. So if you got 8 to 10 yeses and you good, you got it. Congratulations. You well on your way to creating a multiple revenue stream generating business. If you got 6 to 7, then you need a few tweaks. But if you got 5 or under, then you definitely need some help. And this is exactly why every week I've been inviting you to join me. This is on September 29th and 30th, my BYB Intensive. Now you can go to bybintensive.com to learn more. So listen, everything I just walked you through in this assessment is what I'm teaching with the BYB Intensive, okay? So this is not a conference. Listen, you don't need any more information. Many of you know a lot of what I said, but you need implementation. You don't know how to implement it. You don't have strategy. And you don't know the step by step process you need in order to activate it in your business. So on day two, I'm walking you through revenue. By the way, this is the whole agenda. So I'm spelling out more. M is mastery of you. This is where we get clear on your niche, your results. This is not what you do. So I walk you through an exercise called BRS, your Brilliance Results Statement. So it's like a glorified elevator pitch. So I never say I'm the CEO of NRJ Enterprises. Nobody cares about the name of my business. Matter of fact, if I'm really honest with you, I just got hired to be the keynote of the chamber here in where I live for an event they're doing in November. And the woman sent out an email like the next day and said, "Oh, the CEO of NRJ Enterprises is speaking to the." And as I talked to her the day after that, I said, "So can I make a suggestion, a friendly edit?" Because I didn't give her that. I said, "Can you actually write that I'm the bankroll your brains expert?" Why? Because that speaks more for what I know than the name of my company. But even my brains results statement is I help women create multiple streams of income from what they already know. I teach you how to do that in the room, y'all. That's part of the workbook. Optimization is how do you tell your story? So you show people that you are their answer, not tell, not read off your resume. Nobody cares about your resume or your bio. Every client wants to know one thing: what's in it for me? So you got to let them see. That's what optimization is. And I always say all social media is not created equal. Everybody doesn't need to be on everything. So how do you figure out where you need to fish to catch your ideal client? And then day two is revenue. We create a 6 revenue stream wheel for you. 6 revenue streams, 6 in the room together. And then last but not least is execution. And listen, let me just say this. I said this: the key to industry domination is having multiple revenue streams. The key to making God proud is multiplying your gift. You do that when you expand your serve. You do that by having multiple revenue streams. Okay. Then we end the day with execution. Why? Because I need you to be able to activate everything I'm teaching you in those 2 days, right? So how do you serve more people without you being present? Many people, when I meet women that are starting a business alongside their 9 to 5, you've got to have some way to work with people where you don't have to spend more hours in your business. Mm-mm. Where you're not present, I call it making money while you sleep, so that your business is growing while you still are working your 9 to 5. So that's everything you get in those 2 days. Oh, plus, y'all, what I don't have on the slide is those of you that enroll right away. You've heard me talk about the be, do, have formula. So we need to get your being in alignment with what I'm going to teach you, which will be the have as we implement and activate in the room live in those 2 days. So the being part is really helping you sit quiet in quiet contemplation. So I give you a journal to start that being work now. Why? Because I'm not coming to this event for who you already are. I say this every week, y'all. I'm coming for who you have not yet become. So if you know, like you know, now is your time, then get your butt in a seat. BYBintensive.com is 2 weeks from Friday here in the DC area, September 29th and 30th. Listen, can I tell you guys, I'm doing something different because it's the first live event out of COVID. I'm hosting it in a private mansion. I have a shuttle coming to pick you all up. Those of you that are coming in town, I'll share with you the hotels, the Courtyard Marriott in Tyson's Corner. But I have the shuttle coming to pick everybody up. Because listen, can I tell y'all a secret I haven't said on any other? The mansion's on the water. So parking is very limited. So I even hired a shuttle to pick you up from the hotel. So even if you live here in DC, you park at the Courtyard 5 miles away. The shuttle will take you, bring you to the house, and take you back. We have a private chef that's making our meals each day. But I wanted to do something different. I can't guarantee I'm going to do the event again in the mansion. I wanted to do something different because we're coming out of COVID. BYBintensive.com. Listen, if you have questions, go to that page. You'll see at the bottom, there's a link there that where I walk through even more of what you get if I didn't give you enough just then. So listen, that's been our conversation over the last 5 weeks. But can I tell you, I think I have a 6 week brewing because I had some ideas that I was like, there's no way I can get into that here. So I'll share one more step next week. So it'll be like the bonus from the Brilliance School. But do me a favor. If any of what I've shared with you has added any value, oops, I didn't mean to hit that. Sometimes I hit the wrong button, y'all. That's what happens when I'm being my own technical director. If what I've shared with you has been any value to you, whether you're watching me live or you come back and watch the replay, please tell me one, the value you got out of this conversation. Second, when you come live, you guys, I love to coach you. So you can always ask me questions. So I'm looking over here for the folks that are here live in case you guys have any questions. But I always want to encourage you to come live because when you come live and you have questions, I can actually answer your questions, right? So if you have questions, those of you that are here live, post them before I end. So one, tell me value you got. Second, ask a question. Third, if you miss any of this series so far, go and watch the way I teach. Listen, you need all 5 of these weeks. If you're really going to build a business that's successful, that is generating revenue, and that you're having the change, you're making the change that God created you to make in this world, you need everything I've walked you through. So I want to encourage you to go back and watch the previous episodes on my YouTube channel, right? So with that said, it's my honor and privilege to continue to pour into you every Monday here. By the way, when you also post your questions, you never know when one of your questions might be my topic for next week. All right, y'all? So, with that, thank you for joining me for another live FPP, a time we connect faith, purpose, profit. I'll see you next Monday. Bye, y'all.